You can't get to positivity from negativity. This thought popped into my head one day. Now, I had been thinking about mood at that time, but not in that specific time when that thought arose. Now, when it arose, I thought, okay, it doesn't make sense, but there seems to be something to it. Now, why I said that it doesn't make sense, and even why it seemed kind of bad, is I was thinking about mood. And now, if I can't get to a positive mood from a negative mood, well, then I'm trapped when I'm in a negative mood. There's nothing I can do. Okay, but again, there was something there. And again, just because how that thought arose, where it just was there when I wasn't thinking about mood, I knew there was something to it. So, okay. So I decided, let's go into mood. What is mood? So the usual definition, and I think this is kind of the feeling that I have of what a mood is mood is this background feeling. And so there are thoughts and feelings that happen and they affect the mood, and also the mood can affect them. So if I'm doing negative thoughts, that will make the mood negative. Or if I'm in a negative mood, that will affect the thoughts. So I'll just have more negative thoughts happen. And that seems to be what a mood is. And even if you look it up on the internet, you'll see something like that. Okay, but is this true? Is this my experience? Well, let's go into it. Now, if I say I have a good mood or bad mood, there has to be an experience of something. So to say that I have a mood means I'm experiencing it some way. So how do I experience it? Well, the only thing that I say there is feelings and thoughts. There's nothing else that I can experience. I can call different kinds of thoughts, different kinds of feelings, but it's still feelings and thoughts. Okay. So let's go into that. Let's break each one of these down. Let's start with feelings. And first, let's look at a physical feeling. So when I feel bad, and I've had this where if I'm depressed, I feel in my stomach something or in my chest. Okay, so what is that? Now, this is something I looked into a few years ago. And this is something also sometimes where something happens that is negative can be a useful experience because we can look at it and really have a chance to now see what the true experience is, not just a belief of it. So at this time, I was doing an email exchange with someone, and it was kind of confrontational. It was a philosophical conversation, but I'd get myself worked up at that time. And so I saw that he had sent me an email, and I felt this feeling of kind of stress rise in me. Before I clicked on it, I just stopped. And I just looked at the feeling, and I didn't let thoughts tell me what the feeling should be. Like the thoughts were saying it's stress. Okay, I looked at the feeling. And what I noticed is the feeling was just a feeling of energy. It was not good or bad. It was just, yeah, I can't even say. It's just a feeling, something, but not good or bad. Okay, that was interesting. And so then I went and opened the email and wrote my response. About a week later, something else happened, and I had a feeling of excitement in the same thing. I stopped and I looked at the feeling. And what I noticed was the same thing. It didn't feel good or bad. It was just a feeling of energy. And actually, it was the same feeling as that stressful feeling I felt before. So the feeling was the same. It was neutral. Just at one point, the thought said, this is bad, this feels bad, this is stress. Another time, this feels good, this is excitement. But the feeling was just what it is. Now, I've noticed this in other times where I will feel I would say I'd be very worried, very stressed out, and I look at the feeling, and it is just a feeling. It's not positive or negative. It certainly doesn't, it's not painful. So I've seen in the most extreme cases when I feel bad mood, or depression, the physical feeling is nothing. Now, I'm not talking about if you have migraines, things like that. Yeah, that's something else. That is not my experience. The worst feelings I've had, or the worst moods, when I looked at the physical feeling, it was just a feeling. Not good or bad. So then let's go to the mental inside feeling. What is that? I can't find anything there apart from a thought that says, I am sad, or I feel bad, or I'm angry. But the actual feeling, the closest I can get to would be maybe a non-verbal thought, where it's just that feeling thought. But it's still, and it wouldn't even, if there's not a word to it, it's not going to be good or bad. It's going to be something. It could be a feeling, maybe, but it's not going to be good or bad. The thought has to say, this feels bad. Okay. Well, then all I have next, if I get rid of those feelings, then I'm just down to thought. And so I'm starting to look, what is mood? Mood is thought. That's all that's left. Okay, well, so can there be a mood thought and a regular thought? And can they affect each other? Well, what would that even mean? I mean, do I have an experience of two different kinds of thoughts? And if I had a thought that affected a mood thought, how does it affect it? So I have this thought. Now, if I have this idea of this background thing, well, then yeah, a thought arises and then it kind of just sticks to this mood ground. And then there's the bad mood. But that's not my experience. I can't experience the mood, the background, other than by a thought or a feeling thought. So it's just thought. Now, how could a thought affect another thought? I talked about this in another video. I have this thought, and then it's gone, and then this other thought is there. Well, when this thought arises, how could this thought cause this thought? Because when this thought is there, this thought's gone. Now, I can have another thought saying that this thought caused this thought, but then this thought's there, the other thoughts are gone. They're not just kind of floating around, staying or sticking to this background mood. It's just that thought. So, thought affecting thought. Now, what my actual experience is I have a thought that says, I feel sad. Now, the idea is that this thought is pointing to a mood someplace, but it's not. The thought is the feeling. When the thought says, I feel sad, that's the feeling of the thought. That sad feeling is the thought. It's not pointing to something else. What could it point to? If it's pointing to something else, how am I experiencing that? It's going to be a feeling or a thought again, which is just another thought. Where was that thought that was pointing to that one? Well, when I'm thinking this thought, that thought's gone. So all there is a thought that says, I feel bad. Now, certainly a thought can say, I'm in a bad mood, but that's just the thought. That is not a different kind of thought. That is just a thought. Okay, so what if I change my definition of mood and I say, okay, mood is the prevalence of one kind of thought, a type of thought. So when I have many negative thoughts, I could say I'm in a negative mood. When I have many positive thoughts, I'm in a positive mood. Okay, sounds good. Now, you might think, well, that's what I thought in the beginning. What was all this? Doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing. But it's not. Now, this is actually a very important distinction. And this is something why it's important to go on things that seem so clear. Because you can go down and it seems, yeah, it's just another way to look at it, but it's the same thing. But it's not. Now, I looked up a definition of mood, and it gave 3 distinctions between mood and feeling. Now, it said feelings are stronger. Mood is, well, again, more of the background feeling. Mood tends to be over a longer period of time. A feeling is shorter. Feelings are connected to some situation where mood is just kind of there. Now, if you go into any of these definitions, it falls apart. Okay, so one is the intensity of a feeling. Okay, so it's a mood if it's a low intensity feeling, and as the intensity rises, it becomes a feeling. Okay, where's the cutoff? And do you feel a switch of mood to feeling? I don't. And it doesn't even make sense. How about time? Moods generally are longer. Okay, feelings are shorter. Okay, have you had moods that were fast or short or long, or have feelings that are long or short? Of course. We can see that moods can change very quickly. Now, they intend to have this feeling of, no, they can't. But I can be very worried about someone. So someone hasn't come home, and I'm worried about them, and I see the car pull up the driveway, and then I feel relieved. The mood now switched where I'm happy. Or I'm in a great mood and I get a phone call and it's bad news, and then I'm now in a bad mood. So they can switch quickly. And one thing that we seem to sometimes get caught up in is the physical feeling, like I was talking about before. Now, if I get angry, there can be a buildup of energy, and there has to be a cool down. But just if you look at that feeling, same thing. You feel that buildup. It's a buildup of energy, but it's not an unpleasant thing. And the cool down is what it is too. It could be pleasant, just as like it feels good after you do a hard workout. So sometimes a mood seems like it takes longer to fade because we're connecting it to a physical sensation. Now, the body does have a warm up and cool down factor to it, but moods can change just like that. Now, also, that definition was that feelings are connected to what is happening around us, but mood is still there. There's just nothing we can really do about it. And that's the problem. It seems like, yeah, we can change our thoughts, but the mood is something we're kind of trapped by. We can't do anything about it. It's just there. And sometimes we have the bad luck of being in a bad mood so that our thoughts that are coming up are just negative. And we can try to change our thoughts, but the mood's bad, so it's not going to really be able to, we're not going to be able to really do anything about it. So that definition makes a big difference. It makes us into a victim of our moods. But that's not our experience. That's not the truth. Now, the truth is, a mood is the thoughts that we are doing. We are doing a mood. Now, if I go back to the phrase I said at the beginning, where you can't get to positivity from negativity, now we can see that makes sense. And it's the idea of while I'm doing these negative thoughts, I can't get to positive. And I thought of this analogy. It's like swimming in a pool and trying to dry yourself off with a towel. It's not going to work. You have to get out of the pool first before you can dry yourself off. Meaning you have to stop the negative thoughts before you can do the positive thoughts. Now, this is another thing that is, again, a belief about thoughts is if I have a verbal thought and the thought says, I'm in a good mood, I think that's what the thought is saying, but it's not. That's the words. But the total thought is everything of what that means. So maybe I'm saying I'm being positive, but the thought actually is, yeah, I'm saying I'm positive, but I'm not. I'm in a good mood, but not really. I know I can do it, yeah, but I can't. That's the real meaning of the thought. So when we're in a bad mood, we are putting out bad thoughts. Now, even if they have the appearance of positivity, they're still colored by negativity because we're doing this negative mood. So what can we do? Well, first, seeing that is a big step. And it's the major step. It might change just from that to know that you are making the bad mood. So you can stop. And one way to do that is you have to stop. Now, you can shock your system. Now, this is something I saw with Tony Robbins, where he would get people to think about bad patterns and then say something rude or crazy, and then they'd be, what? What are you talking about? To kind of put a break in there. Now, you can do this, I found, just by doing something that requires all of your thinking. So maybe doing work, doing some schoolwork, doing a puzzle, doing a game, something that requires you to think and focus on that. So you can break the pattern of negativity. Perhaps you can do that with just meditation. You can sit and watch those negative thoughts arise and fall, and then whatever happens after that. One thing I found that can really help, and I've talked about before being magical and powerful, is gratitude. No matter how bad your life is, there's something you can be grateful for. Just, okay, I had food today. I had lunch. Right now, I feel comfortable. I'm not hot or cold. I don't have any pain right now. Something. Just feel gratitude and really feel that. Doing that does break the pattern of negativity. And it might pop back up, but then come back to being grateful. When you break that pattern, then, well, what happens? We'll see. What pops up after that? What I found is by doing gratitude, it changes my mood, where I'm much more open and accepting of everything. So, this is another example of why it is important to look into things that you think are obvious. Go into them. And maybe you have to go down into it until you see, okay, that is the difference. That is what's making myself miserable. And do this and see what happens. But again, don't take anything I say as the truth. Look into this yourself and see. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Until next time.